Hey, this is Mark, and I am here at my studio, which I have dubbed the Action Figuratorium. I'll let you figure out why it's called that. And for those of you who like to do toy photography, or if you just collect toys and you're always looking for a cool way to display them, you know about playsets, and that you can find some cool looking playsets that make great backgrounds or great sort of diorama pieces for your characters to interact with. And that's what today's thrift store toy rescue is all about. It is this Imaginext playset, which I managed to get from a thrift store on what I would call the cheap. And we're going to be talking about that today on the Action Figuratorium. So stick around. So this is a playset which I picked up at a thrift store, not a Goodwill though. Strange, as most of my stuff comes from Goodwills near my house or in the area. This came from a different thrift store, and it was a whopping $7. Let's bring this thing up on the screen. And I have to say that like $7 from a thrift store, in my opinion, is a bit overpriced. But if you wanted to get this thing on eBay, you're going to have to pay shipping. And on play sets, oversized sets, they have no problem, meaning eBay sellers, charging a lot of money, even if it doesn't cost that much to ship. Expect to pay at least $20 in shipping for something like this. So I think $7 is kind of a local steal for something like this, but you may find it even cheaper. You might come across one of these at a Salvation Army, a Goodwill, a Red, White, and Blue, you know, a Value Village, $3, $4, $5, and I highly recommend you get one of these. So this guy suffers from a problem that a lot of these Imaginext toys suffer from, is that they have a lot of moving parts and springs and things that open them, and sometimes they will get loose with time. And so this one takes a bit of extra care to get the head to stay, but basically the way this works is you would put a figure on the little stand here, and when they do that, it breaks apart the head to reveal this fantastic cobra monster inside, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. Of course, it's got the cool pharaoh face with a little cobra, and of course it's all done to look like it's in stone. And there is a bit of some cool trappings down here. There's some mystical writings in the ground. There's some kind of a weird snake pit, sacrifice pit back here. I think that's cool. These two things pop out, the two sides pop out, so you get a little more 3D to it. There's of course some kind of like a war tower that you can climb up on the side. If I flip it over this way, you can see that there is this thing, which is actually a microphone. So you press this down, you're talking to it, and I think it has a spring effect. I think this is like a poor man's spring reverb. We're gonna flip around to the back. And sometimes the inside of these play sets are interesting for little photography sets as well. If you have the 3.75 Indiana Jones figure, like I do, which I'm a big fan, by the way, if you didn't know that, you'll notice there's a lot of Egyptian-looking kind of stone pieces here that you could set him up against. And I believe that there's also some... yeah, this thing operates the Cobra. I believe there's also some working lights, and I know there's like a little coin that came with this. I have it, that fits into here. When you slide it into the slot, it sort of starts it up. There's some other little escape pits and stuff, trapdoors and things like that in here. This is a battery compartment. I think that's for lights, and it may have some sound. Don't know where the speaker is, but do know that it has one. Yeah, so if you push that down, that goes wild. And I think this I think this one operates a trap door inside, and looks like even this might slide around a little bit. So it's a cool piece, as you can see, and what I plan to do with it is use like a wash and just go over the face and the yellow here. I was thinking about taking the stickers off and painting it blue and white myself, because that way you could kind of age it and make it look like the paint's all chipped off. But I think we're just going to leave the sticker for now, because if you're doing some photography, it's far enough in the back they can't really tell, and it might look kind of cool. But basically what it needs is it needs a wash to fill in all these cracks and make them pop. And that's kind of really about it. You could add a little bit of gold paint to some parts of the Pharaoh's face. You know, there's some cool things that you could do with it. You could customize a little bit of that. You could do a little something here. We'll paint in some of these hieroglyphics on the side. That might be kind of cool. You know, a wash on the this little wooden scaffold would be kind of neat. But overall, it's a cool piece as is, and it can get you pretty far. So I think really the main reason why you would want something like this, or even like the Playmobil pyramid sets. I have one of the bigger ones, and it's a lot of fun. It always looks great on camera. I think the real reason why you want these is because it works perfectly for a lot of Egyptian themed action figures. So I picked up this NECA 8-inch Pharaoh Eddie Iron Maiden figure, which I absolutely love, and of course I got a Betty Page 6-inch figure in her Cleopatra outfit. These are both great looking characters. They go great with this kind of weird Egyptian Imaginext, you know, Serpent Strike playset. But there's other, you know, sort of mummy figures out there. There's those Mum-Ra, those old, you know, Thundercats villain. There is a show called Mummies, and I think you can find action figures of the Mummies figures around. Of course, Universal Monsters has always been licensing to different toy companies who have been doing a mummy monster. I think right now Jada has the license for like 6-inch guys, and they're putting those figures out. Recently, a toy came out by, I think it was Figure Arts. It's a King Tut figure. It's a little mummy figure, but it's really superposable. This would be great for that figure. Any of these like Egyptian themed characters would go great with this, but also treasure hunters. Like I mentioned Indiana Jones, of course that's also going to include Lara Croft, and you're like, well, where do I get a Lara Croft action figure that's in that scale? The closest thing I found that works for me is this Joy Toy figure, this Fox Hunter A, I think her name is. So she's kind of aesthetically looks like a Lara Croft type character, and I've been using her with Indiana Jones on some adventures on some of my Instagram pics. So all these figures work fantastic with this, you know, what would technically, if you saw it somewhere, you'd think it's kind of cheeseball, but once you start doing photography, or you start doing dioramas, or you just want to display your action figures with some cooler stuff, little things like this you find at the thrift stores really go a long ways. So that's it for this episode. I hope you had a fun time. I know I did, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.